Hare Krishna. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Like I always say, I'm deeply indebted to all of you for your serious study of Bhagavad Gita. And because of all of you, I get to study Bhagavad Gita as well. It creates that motivation to study Bhagavad Gita. And I cannot tell you enough how much I benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita again and again and again. It is just such a blast. So we are going to continue with chapter 9. Hopefully we have set a very strong basis for chapter 9. We have spent 4 classes on 5 or 6 verses. So we'll try to pick up some speed because a lot of the foundation has been set. So let us get started. We will start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Let me share the screen. Okay. Hopefully all of you can see the screen. One second. Okay. Great. So we will recite the Mangalacharan prayers. And as we said, the prayers for Srila Prabhupada, the pranam mantras for Srila Prabhupada occur after the 3rd verse that is given here. So we will, it's not that we have forgotten to recite those, but we recite it at the proper place. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we will resume our study of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 9, verse number 6. So we could not cover verse 6 last time. We will quickly go over that. Let me share my screen. Okay. So, one second. All right. All of you can hear me okay and see the screen okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Thank you so much for confirming. So once again, welcome everybody to the Bhagavad Gita class. We are continuing with the 9th chapter. And please pay very careful attention. 9th chapter is the most important chapter and of the Bhagavad Gita. And after having set a good foundation over the first five verses, we are going to go deeper into the aspect of who is Krishna. And please put away other things If possible, turn on your videos, makes a more personal classroom kind of a feeling. Keep the book in front of you, put away other things outside or your view, and pay attention to Lord Krishna's message, Srila Prabhupada's message, which I'm trying to reproduce and repeat with as much without any contamination, without adding or removing anything from my side. So in the last two verses, so we are in chapter 9, verse numbers 9.1 to 3, we understood how to study or approach or understand chapter number 9. So that was the essence of the first three verses. 9.4 and 5, the Lord begins by describing who am I. Who am I, as in not who am I, the jiva, but who is Krishna. And the first and the most important thing that he tells us, that it is impossible to understand Krishna fully. That is the main point. Because we are incapable. Our intelligence is not mature, and it is not like it will get mature when we become 50 years old, 60 or 70 years or 80 years old. It's not like that. The human intelligence, however intelligent the human being may be, just like a small dog, if you try to teach the dog to speak language, you can keep trying. It may be the smartest dog in the whole universe or the whole world. You cannot, it's just incapable. The brain itself is incapable of understanding that. So our intelligence is not mature, or I will put it like this, is not capable of or to understand the Lord fully. That is the main point, fully. We can understand somewhat. And last week we had a nice discussion, I feel, on how we can understand a little bit that the Lord is not understandable. And we used some mathematical concepts of dimensionality. We understand 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimensions. So we understand, we can say we understand something about 4th, 5th, 6th dimension, but it becomes really mind-boggling to understand it fully. We have some sense, but it becomes like really head hurting. Our head begins to hurt when we begin to try to fully understand what it means. That is the situation. And we showed how Krishna is infinitely dimensional, how unimaginably unimaginable he is, or inconceivable he is. So that is where we are. That's where we left. 9.6, Lord Krishna gives a nice example of the paradox. So we said that these are not contradictions. We also drew a distinction between the word contradiction versus paradox. Contradiction means that it is it's improvable, it's impossible, or you have proven that this is not equal to that. It's a contradiction. You have proven it. So you are absolutely sure that this is not equal to this. In math, we use this proof by contradiction. So if you want to prove something, there's a standard technique, proof by contradiction. So when you prove that there is a contradiction, that itself tells you a lot of information. On the other hand, paradox is something which we don't understand. Our limits of knowledge and comprehension prevent us from even making progress to prove that is it equal or contradictory. We are just completely lost, or we are struggling still to understand which one is it. So that is kind of a paradox where we are stuck. due to our lack of capability. So the Lord will give an example of such a paradox. And the example is that of wind and ether. And the Sanskrit word used for ether is akash. Now, akash is generally translated as sky, which means which we see in if we look up, we see the blue sky. But what here, akasha, which is also known as kha, is being referred to as ether, or ether means, we had this discussion, if you want to look in Bhagavad Gita 7.4 time frame, when we discussed what is kha or ether. Another name for ether is space, just empty space. So the example that is given there in 9.6 is that of wind and ether. So there is space, isn't it? Now please listen to this and you will understand. Now 9.6 is a little hard to understand. It took me a few years to understand it. Now, it doesn't mean that the whole of those few years I was just thinking about 9.6. That is not the case. But that understanding came after listening to and reading many lectures or notes or acharyas' commentaries on 9.6. So I'm trying to give you my understanding that I have got from many devotees. So please listen carefully. It's a little hard to understand, and I will try to simplify it. So wind, okay, exists in space. Would you agree? We will use the two terms, wind and space. We will use these two words. Wind exists in space. Are you all clear about that? No problem in understanding? Very nice. Does space exist within the wind? If there is wind or air, would you say space exists within it?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
So some of you may say yes, some may say no.
No.
I say yes. There is wind everywhere, but the space exists in between the wind as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if you don't, it's just an analogy, it's an example, but it's a very nice, very close example. And Lord Krishna is giving this example, so it better be a very appropriate example. Okay, the Lord himself is giving the example. So here we can see wind is in the space, but the space is also inside the wind. Okay, think of it like this, that wind or air is like molecules. And within the molecules, in between the molecules, there is space. We know that from science. So within the air or wind, there is space. But the wind as a macro level is residing within the space. So the space is outside the wind, but it is inside the wind as well. That is the level of to the extent I understand. Now, if you go and try to break your head or think deeper into it, you may come up with more questions, but this is at the point where I would like to leave it. Okay. So this is the same kind of the paradox where the Lord says that everything is within me, but I am within everything as well. So the Lord Krishna is giving a nice example that the wind resides or rests in space, but the space is all pervading. And since it is all pervading, which means it is within the wind as well. Okay. So that's the example. I wanted to do enough justice to the example, but this whole topic we have discussed already as part of 9.4 and 9.5. Okay. So the verse is like this, 9.6. Yatha akashasthito nityam vayuh sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani ti upadharaya. So the translation is understand that, which means try to understand upadharaya as the mighty wind blowing everywhere. Mahan sarvatra go vayu sarvatra go mahan. So this vayu or air or wind is mahan. This mighty wind is sarvatra go, is sarvatra, everywhere. It is all pervading. Rests always in the sky. Yatha akasha sthito. So the vayu is residing in the akash, but the vayu is always is pervading everywhere, is blowing everywhere, rests. So it always rests in the sky. All created beings, similarly, all created beings rest in me. Tatha sarva bhutani, sarvani bhutani, mat sthani iti upadharaya. So just try to understand it like this. So that is what Lord Krishna is saying. Okay, so that is 9.6. Now, a couple of important points about 9.6. One point is, how is all this happening? So please try to make a note of these important points. So some important points regarding 9.6. So how is, point number one is, how is all this happening? Whatever is happening, that the Lord is everywhere, everything is within the Lord, all that, the answer given by acharyas is that it is happening by the very important will of the Lord. It is happening by the will of the Lord. The Lord wills, the Lord desires, and it happens. Okay. And where did I write it? Yeah. There is a nice description of the will of the Lord in 9.8, purport of 9.8. We will get to that. The another point is that, what does it mean, will of the Lord? This has the same reference as Bhagavad Gita 7.7. 7.7, if you remember, the Lord said a very important word, Sutre Manigana Iva, which means that as the string keeps the necklace together, I am keeping this whole cosmic manifestation, this whole world, this whole Jagat, or this whole universe together. If I were to not support it, it would all disintegrate. Just like the string of the necklace, if it were to disappear, would the necklace remain a necklace? No, all the beads of the necklace would disintegrate. They would go here and there. So similarly, that the Lord is keeping the whole universe together. So Lord is supporting the entire creation. This is another point to be taken away from here. So these are the 2 points, that all this is happening by the will of the Lord, and without the Lord, the whole creation will disintegrate. He is the one keeping the creation together. Okay, so now we go to 9.7. So that is the discussion of up to 9.6, the inconceivability of the Lord and how to understand. So this was a pretty heavy discussion, 9.4, 5, and 6, all about inconceivability. The Lord is inside as well as outside, and things like that. So the question that the next 4 verses are answering, 9.7 to 9.10, is one section which these 4 verses need to be read together, the meaning or the motivation for this section is that since the Lord is inconceivable, that means we cannot understand him fully. We can understand him somewhat. What should we understand? What or how much should we understand, or how much or how can we, all these things, how much, how can, what should we understand? How should we understand the Lord? Okay, you've told me that you are inconceivable. Krishna is telling that I am inconceivable. You cannot understand me. Okay, tell me something. Tell me the most which a human brain can, or a human intelligence can understand. Now, in the next 4 verses, the Lord will tell who is the Lord. But the point is that now he will tell in a conceivable manner, in conceivable terms, which means that this is something, 9.7 to 9.10 is something that we can understand. That we can understand. So this is how, this is the view in which we need to, or through which we need to approach or understand Lord Krishna. This is the maximum that we can understand about Lord Krishna. Are you clear? Just like we said, a tesseract. Remember last week's discussion about a tesseract? It's a 4-dimensional figure. We don't even know how to imagine a 4-dimensional figure. But we said that there is one thing we can understand about the 4-dimensional figure is that its one boundary is what? Is a what? What is one boundary of a 4-dimensional figure?
Square.
3-dimensional cube.
Cube.
Yes.
Cube.
So a boundary of a 4-dimensional figure is a cube. So we can understand that much. That much we can understand. We cannot really understand how the tesseract looks. But if I show you a cube, my son has a lot of Rubik's cubes. I don't see it here. No, it's okay. So imagine that there's a cube. So we can understand, aha, if I had a tesseract in my hand, its boundary would look like a cube. That much we can understand. We can understand a cube. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain to you how to approach verse numbers 9.7 to 9.10. Okay, so let us go. This will be, as you can understand, or as you can predict, this should be easy because it is meant for us to understand. So it won't be such a hard discussion. Okay, so 9 point. So how can, so let me summarize. It will be good if I summarize first, and then we can go through the verses quickly. Summarize or summary of, you can say, summary of 9.7 to 9.10. So please pay attention. You will get the summary, and then if you want to, go to sleep, you can go to sleep for the next 4 verses, but at least try to get the summary. Okay. So how to understand the Lord? So the Lord is 4 points. Okay. 9.7, point number 1, 9.8, point number 2, 9.9, point number 3, and 9.10, point number 4. So we will describe 4 points of how to understand who is the Lord. Following everybody? Everybody with me? Okay, very nice. So the first point is that he is the origin and dissolution of all beings. So all beings come from Krishna and they go back to Krishna. So he is the origin and he is the dissolution. Okay, that we can understand, right? Second point. Okay. Not only living beings, but entire Prakriti. Prakriti means entire material world, entire material nature, everything is created and destroyed by Krishna. Okay, that is also simple to understand, right? So first one was saying all the living beings, all the beings are created or they come from Krishna, and their end destination, their dissolution, or we can say end destination, is also Krishna. Similarly, for the entire...
Prabhuji, I have a doubt here because we always heard, our elders saying Brahma is the creator and Mahavishnu is the caretaker and Shiva is the destroyer. So that little bit confusion is there.
Okay, very nice. So I will put that here: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha, or Lord Shiva. So we will put that as a question here, and we will take it at
this was already covered by you, that Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh are the say secretaries of the Lord.
Correct.
Through him he creates.
Through
Brahma he creates by his will.
Yes, they are the guna avatars.
Yeah, the functional gods.
Yes, so I will explain that again. Since somebody asked, I will take few minutes at the end and describe that again. No problem. Sometimes repetition helps. So yes, we will clarify that. Okay. So where was I? So he's the origin and dissolution or end destination of all living beings. Not only the living beings, but the entire Prakriti. He is the creator and he is the destroyer. Also the Prakriti, there is a sub point 2a and 2b. So point number 2 has two parts. This Prakriti is running by laws created by Krishna. What are those laws called? Laws of karma. So the entire Prakriti is running by the laws which are created by Krishna. So that is 9.8. Then the third point is 9.9. Let me move this down. But the Lord is above this cycle of creation and destruction. He is above the cycle, or he is neutral. He is not attached. We can say not attached. We all get attached to everything we create, isn't it? If you make your own house, even if a small child makes a little house made out of sand, he gets very attached, doesn't want to break it. Papa is saying, let's go home, it's getting dark. He says, no, I made this little sand castle. How can I go? How can I leave it? I'll stay here all night trying to guard it. So we get so attached to everything we create, but Krishna is not attached. He's above this attachment to this cycle of creation and destruction. But still, he is the director. So he is detached, but yet he is involved, which means that he is detached, yet he is involved. So there is some, you can see some sense or some paradox here as well. How can you be detached yet involved? Either you are detached or you are attached. Involvement means some kind of attachment, some kind of connection. So We will go into it, but this is an easier paradox. And there is a very nice example that Srila Prabhupada gives, the example of a judge. How a judge is giving punishment to someone, reward to someone. So he's causing a lot of action based on the laws that the judge has, created. Now in our society, the laws are not created by the judge, but the laws are enforced by the judge. But in any case, the judge is causing a lot of action to occur, but he's neutral. He's not getting attached to somebody who is receiving the reward, and he doesn't hate somebody who is getting the punishment. He's acting at a very neutral level, but he's still causing a lot of action to occur. So the example of the judge helps in that case. So this, I would say, is a fairly simple way to understand the supremacy, the divinity of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So these are the 4 points that you can keep in mind. That he is the origin and end destination of all living beings. He is the creator and destroyer of the entire material nature. The entire material nature is running by the laws that are ordained by the Lord. But the Lord is not attached to anything that he creates or destroys or maintains. Yet he is involved in the working of the material nature. He is involved in that through the process of direction. He is the director. We will see that the word uses adhyaksha. Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha means a director. Okay, so this is going to be the content of the next 4 verses, 9.7 to 9.10. So let us go deeper into 9.7. So what does Lord Krishna say in 9.7? Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau vrisajami aham. So the translation is, O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So the points to note in this particular verse is by my potency, or the Lord's will. Once again, the acharyas have emphasized on the point that the Lord's will, this is the main force of creation and destruction. So let us see. Sarva bhutani kaunteya. Kaunteya is another name for Arjuna. He is the son of Kunti. Sarva bhutani. What does sarva bhutani means? All living beings. Sarva bhutani. Prakritim yanti mamikam. So yanti means they enter. What? They enter into material nature. Now material nature is a expansion, comes from Lord Krishna. So acharyas have explained they enter into material nature, and in that way they enter finally into Krishna by my will. And this by my will is a expanded understanding given by acharyas from this verse, but from other verses it's very clear that by my will it happens. It's happening by my will. So prakritim yanti mamikam. The mamikam word indicates that according to Krishna's will, according to Krishna's plan, all this is happening. So sarva bhutani, they enter into Krishna. Kalpakshaye punastani. And when do they enter into Krishna? Kalpakshaye. Kshaye means at the end. Kalpa means the end of Lord Brahma's day. That is known as one day of Brahma is known as a kalpa. So at the end of the day of Brahma, all the living entities enter into the body of Lord Krishna. This we had studied in chapter 8. If you want, you can go and refer to the discussion of chapter 8. Kalpadau, Adi means beginning or origin. So when the kalpa begins, which means next day of Brahma, kalpadau vrisajami aham, I create them again. So the living entities, whoever is resting within Krishna's body, they come out again at the beginning of the day of Brahma. So this cycle keeps going on every day and night of Brahma. And we had said that the day and night of Brahma is 4.3 billion earth years is one day, and the same thing is one night. So the total becomes times 2, 8.6 billion earth years. So this is one kalpa. So this cycle keeps going on. At the end of the kalpa, all the living entities take rest, or they enter into the unmanifest state, into Krishna, aham. So that is what is said here. Now, is that clear? So that is what we said here, that he is the origin and the end destination of all living entities. Now, it does not mean that the living, somebody should mute, please. It does not mean that all the living entities mandatorily get moksha. So it is not that they eternally stay with Krishna. At the beginning of the kalpa, they come back into the material world. Okay, so it is not a time-bound promotion like in the Indian government. Whether you are qualified or not qualified, you get promoted after so many years. It is not like that. So they come back into the material world. And that is very important point, because Lord Krishna says, vrisajami aham, which means I bring them back into the material world. Okay. Now, one point that, so
Sir, there is a question. There is a question.
yes.
You said that the whole world that is lost or submerged in Krishna after the day of Brahma, and the Sutra says that kalpa chhe, after the kalp, everything goes into the Krishna, inside the Krishna. So it is kalpa chhe or the day of the Brahma, because
Kalpa
the day
is
of
the
the
day
Brahma.
of Brahma. No, kalpa is the day of Brahma. So what is the question?
No,
Kalpa-
kalp is not the kalp is the whole cycle of the Brahma. That is 100 years of the Brahma,
No,
day
no,
and
no.
night.
No. Kalpa is a day of Brahma.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kalpa means a day of Brahma, which has 1000 yuga cycles. Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So this 4 cycles form one Mahayuga cycle, and 1000 Mahayuga cycles form one Kalpa, which is the day of Brahma, and same duration is the night. So this is Kalpa. Okay. Yeah. Okay, there are some things on the chat. Why has the Lord created the cycle of creation and destruction? Okay, for his fun. This is just his Leela, no reason from. No, that is not the right answer. So don't answer questions. Let the chat be only for questions. Let me be the one who answers. Okay, so it is not just for fun. That sounds like the Lord is very funny, or he is just, playing with some toys. We are just toys, and we are there only for his entertainment. So that is not the answer. So let us go into a little bit discussion on that point. I feel this is important. The Lord has created this creation because he has a desire for love. Okay, it's not for fun. It is for love. So everything is coming from the Lord. Everything. So he is, in a sense, he is everything. He says that here, right, in these verses, that everything comes from me. The whole creation is coming from him. Even the living entities in the spiritual world, the eternal Jiva Bhutah Sanatanaha. In the 15th chapter, we will see Mameva Ansho Jiva, what is that? Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. These living entities who are eternal are Krishna's amsha. They are part and parcel of Krishna. So even the entities, living entities, whether they are in the material world or spiritual world, they are a part of Krishna. Krishna has created them. Okay. Why has Krishna created these living entities? because he wants to reciprocate. Love cannot happen between one person. If there is one person, there cannot be love. For having a relationship of love, you need two people, at least two entities, two free-willed entities. So what Krishna has done, he has created other living entities so that he can have a relationship of love with many, many living entities. And this is Krishna. Okay, Krishna has everything, but one thing he wants more and more and more. And what is that? Love. So he cannot have enough love. He always wants more and more and more love. Ask any mother. Any mother, you'll get a sense, hopefully, that when you have, when you even we say like that, our children have grown up, now they go to college and all. Sometimes jokingly, or sometimes we say, I wish we had more children who were younger age. When you were young, you were so nice, and we used to have all this fun, do fun things. I wish we had more children, like, so that we could always keep having, this loving relationship. Always, it never ends. So Krishna is also like that. So he has created other living entities with a free will. Now, free will, when the other living entity has free will, then only there can be a relationship of true love. Or true love, or what we can say, love by choice. So he has created these free living entities. And when those free living entities, by their own choice, choose to love Krishna, that becomes true love. And that Krishna enjoys very much, just like a mother enjoys, or a father, or a friend, or a husband, or whoever enjoys a loving relationship with another living entity. So Krishna has created all these living entities because he wants to have abundance of love. It is for his desire to enjoy abundance of loving relationships. So that is the reason of creating all these living entities. Okay. Now, one point, so that okay, there is another question. How is Brahma's night different than the day? So Brahma's night is different than the day because in the night, the universe is inactive. The living entities are in an unmanifest state, and the universe is under a state of partial destruction. Now, what it means and all those things, they are complex topics, very, very complex topics. But in a very simplistic way, what is mentioned, for example, the universe is like an anda. It's like an egg with all these planetary systems. There are 14 planetary systems. I had shown you that picture. So this is Bhuloka, the Earth planet, and let's say this is Svargaloka. And at the bottom is Patalaloka. And there are all these other Sutala, Vitala, Atala, these lower planetary systems and upper planetary systems. All the way till Svargaloka, all becomes submerged. This all becomes drowned in the waters, in the cosmic waters. Now, not like H2O water, not hydrogen, oxygen, H2O, not that kind of water, but under there is a cosmic flood, and all this becomes flooded, and that causes partial destruction of till Svargaloka of the universe. This is my understanding. And when the day arrives, the flooding, the waters subside, and Lord Brahma recreates, he fixes whatever has been damaged, and he does the repair job. So he's like we call Brahma. Brahma is not the creator. He's not the creator, but we say in our terminology, so to say, Brahma is the chief engineer. Okay, he is the if you can think of it like he is the CEO of the universe, but the owner is Krishna. Sometimes there is an owner which is different from CEO. Owner hires a CEO saying, you run my company. I will give you a salary and you run the company. So CEO is a very important person. It's not like he is a ordinary, janitor. He is a very important person, but still he is not the owner. So Krishna is the owner, but Brahmaji is like, you can say chief engineer, CEO, whatever analogy fits your, you like, you can use. So this is the partial destruction. So what was the question? How is Brahma's night different from day? So Brahma's night is the living entities are unmanifested. The universe is in an inactive state. Okay. So one point I want to bring out here is that in 9.7, there is the word, since this is an expanded version, XXL size class, we will sometime do a, we did a medium size class in 2020. This is the 2021 batch, which is the double XL. We are doing in deep detail. Sometime we are thinking we will do a small size batch where we will cover it very quickly. So Bhagavad Gita, we'll cover it in various speed, in various level of detail. So since this is double XL, let's go a little bit deeper into 9.7 and vrisajami aham. Lord Krishna says, vrisajami aham, which means I create. Who does he create? What is the word used? Sarva bhutani. Okay, I create all. Sarva bhutani means all living entities. Isn't it? Sarva bhutani means all living entities. Vrisajami aham, I create. So Lord Krishna is saying, I create all these living entities. Yes, at the beginning of the kalpa, fine, but that is a different point. What I am trying to say and what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, he says that in 9.8 purport. Not 9.7, but 9.8, Srila Prabhupada says that this argument defeats the Darwinism theory. What is the Darwinism theory? Which is a very popular and very well-established scientific theory that life or all the living entities evolve from lower species to higher species. Like human beings came from monkeys, monkeys came from some other reptiles, reptiles came from fish, fish came from some single-celled organisms, and how they came, which is a big mystery. So this whole Darwinistic theory is doesn't fit the understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Lord, in Bhagavad Gita, what is being said is that Krishna is here and all living entities, whether they are bacteria or fish or reptiles or monkeys or humans, they all come from Krishna. Sarva bhutani vrisajami aham. I have created all of these. The Darwin theory is that, I will put it in green, from bacteria come fish, this like this. It's like this, and this link is not there. This link does not exist. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is clearly saying that from Krishna comes all the living entities. Now, if you want me to go a little deeper into this topic, there is a very famous article in the Scientific American. Scientific American is a monthly magazine of science, and it is a heavily reputed magazine. I use the Scientific American a lot for trying to see what is the modern scientific view or understanding of any particular topic. And I don't remember the exact issue number or the year number. I can find it out for you, or I should have it. I have taken it as a to-do item. But the chief editor of Scientific American wrote an article containing 15 points that defeat creationism. Now, obviously, Scientific American is a modern scientific magazine. It will describe the Darwinistic theory. So the chief editor is describing, and this theory that everything comes from Krishna or God, even the Christians say that all species come from God. So this theory is, the name is creationism. This theory is called creationism, which means that everybody is created by a superior entity who is called God. That theory is called creationism. So another name for that theory, by the way, for those of you who are interested, is called ID, and it expands into intelligent design. These are very, very important terms in this whole discussion of God and science. There's a lot of debate that happens, not only between Vaishnavas and scientists, but even between Christians, theists and scientists. And the another term is called intelligent design, which means some intelligent living entity. Krishna is not a dumb entity. He is an intelligent, or God is an intelligent entity. And he has created these various species for certain functions, using some intelligent design principles. Like a car manufacturer creates a Jeep, he creates a sedan, he creates a truck, he creates a SUV. All these different species of cars are created by a car engineer for certain purpose, using his intelligence of car manufacturing or car design, isn't it? So similarly, God has created these various living entities, and that idea is called intelligent design or creationism. So Scientific American in this article came up with 15 points to defeat creationism. And whenever I do this science class, which will happen sometime, I will show that article. I have read that article many times. I will take out that article and I will go point by point to see what they are saying as to how creationism is wrong. And in my reading of that article, I could not find in all those 15 points even one point that convinced me that this Darwinistic theory is true. How we came from one entity to the other, to the other, to the other. They have 15 bullet points, but they are not convincing to me. I will give you some examples from my memory. So the basic question that they are trying to address, the most sort of fundamental question here is, from what did bacteria come? Not even the bacteria, I should say this single-celled, the unicellular organism. What is the most primitive, the most fundamental origin of life? How it came from? Because I think I had discussed this in one of the previous classes. There is this big experiment that was done called the Stanley Miller experiment, etc., etc. It was very inconclusive. Now the question becomes, how did that first life form come about? The answers that they are giving are so ridiculous. One of the very important answers is, maybe life came from a different planet to Earth, on some asteroid or some meteor. Okay, that may be true. But how is that answering the point that how did life originate? I can ask the question, how did it come from that other planet? Fine, it was transported from the other planet to our planet using a meteor. Fine, understand. But you never answered the question how it originated over there. So how can that be argument to say that creationism is false. How did it get created in the first place? That there is no answer. So none of those 15 points are answering this fundamental question.
But why can't we dovetail this Darwinistic theory into the Krishna theory?
Yeah, that is the fundamental point.
Because like our avatars, Matsya avatar, Vaman avatar, gradually they grew from small to bigger and bigger.
Yes, yes, agreed. So let me address that point a little bit. I already had it in my plan. Now, one of the things that the Darwinistic theory says is based on what is known as the chronology of species. What does it mean? We have this wonderful method called radiocarbon dating of fossils. Okay, we agree. I am a scientific person. I agree in radiocarbon dating. And we have found fossils. We have found fossils of unicellular organisms, of bacteria, fish, reptiles, all the way till humans, dinosaurs, all those things, right? We have found fossils. The fossil records are having some kind of a chronology that when you do this radiocarbon dating, this unicellular organisms, we find almost 4 billion years old fossils. 4 billion year old fossils. Okay. Whereas, for example, the reptiles or dinosaurs, let's say, we don't find any fossils that are 4 billion years old. Of course, people are looking, archaeologists are looking. Whatever fossils have been found date back at most to a few 100 million years. So if we are to take this scientific argument, it tells us that unicellular organisms were present first and reptiles, or let's say dinosaurs, came later, right? Just by the dating. That's all it proves. Think about it. I'm telling you the unicellular organisms were present 4 billion years ago. The reptiles were present, let's say 1 billion years ago, just for sake of argument. That's all I'm saying. It does not prove that this came from this. How does it prove that? All it is proving is this was in X time period. The other one was in after X. But if something is after X, how do you know that this came from this? But I am living in 2020, correct? Mahatma Gandhi was living in 1945, correct? Now, does it mean Mahatma Gandhi is my father? He was living before me, so does it make him my father or my ancestor? No, it doesn't. Okay. So one of the explanations can be that Lord introduced these various species, like one Prabhu was saying, at different times. But it doesn't mean that this came from this came from this. All it could mean as a possibility is that the Lord introduced these species into the material world at different times for different purpose. That can be another explanation. It necessarily does not mean that one came from the other. That could also be a possible explanation, but there is no strong evidence of that. There is a chronology, but there is not a proof. There is a proof for the chronology, but there is no proof of the ancestry, or there is little proof of ancestry. There is some mutations that occur, and a red fish may become a green fish based on some mutation. But saying that a monkey became a human being, or reptile became a mammal, such drastic changes, they are and there is a lot of scientific study that is done. If you want, you can read again my favorite author, Sadaputa Prabhu. His books are under his civil name is Dr. Richard L. Thompson. And you can read a very nice book called, what is that? Forbidden Archaeology. Very famous. And it's a thick book, almost like 600 and 700 pages of solid scientific research. You can read this book and you can get more information, more ideas about all these things, and very, very thoroughly written. It's not written like a science basher. He's a very, very, and another person, Dhruta Karma Prabhu, his name is, I should mention, and his civil name is Michael Cremo. He is still present on the planet. He is alive. He lives in Los Angeles. I have had the fortune to meet him many times. Very brilliant, very, very old. So, I've had the fortune to talk to him. But anyway, all the research and all that these great devotees have done is all present in their books and their classes and writings. So please take advantage of those and, educate yourself on these topics. Okay. All right. So let's make progress.
Prabhuji, $37, that book.
Huh?
$37, that book.
Okay, $37. Not very expensive to get this wonderful knowledge, huh? We spend $37 on, if you go out for one dinner, you can easily spend in America at least $37. So you can buy a book also. And I'm sure there might be a Kindle version for cheaper, maybe. I don't know. You can look at it. Okay, 9.8. So 9.7, what was the topic we talked about? 9.7, that Krishna is the origin of all living entities. That was the point. Next point is not only living entities, but the whole Prakriti is coming from Krishna. And this Prakriti is working according to Krishna's laws, the laws of karma. So let us see that point, 9.8. Let's move a little faster. So 9.8. Prakritim swam avashtabhya vrisajami punah punah bhuta gramam imam kritsnam avamsham prakriter vashat. So the translation is, the whole cosmic order is under me. So prakritim swam avashtabhya. So this whole prakriti, swam means in me, avashtabhya enters. So this not only the living beings, not only the sarva bhutani, but the entire prakriti goes in. Vrisajami, and I create, which means it comes out. Creation means to come out. You can think like that, right? Vrisajami. So it goes into me and it comes out when? Punah punah, again and again. So there is a cycle. This whole cycle of the Prakriti entering into Krishna and coming out and entering and coming out keeps going on and on and on. Punah punah. And what happens? Bhuta gramam imam kritsnam. That all this bhuta gramam means the whole material manifestation, the whole material creation, this entire thing, imam kritsnam, avasham prakriter vashat, is automatically in the avasham. Avasham means it's in the vash of, it's in the control. It's running under the control of the prakriti. Prakriti ke vash mein hai. It's in the vash of prakriti. It's in the control, which means it is running under the, here the prakriti means the laws of prakriti, the laws of nature. So the entire cosmic manifestation is going into Krishna, coming out of Krishna. So punah punah, this whole cycle is running. And how it is, when it is running, how it is running? Under the control of the laws of nature. It's in the vash of Prakriti. Okay, so those are the 2 points. So the translation is, and the laws of nature are running under the direction of Krishna. That will come later. So you can say, oh, The Prakriti is running under the laws of nature, not under Krishna. Krishna will answer that question in 9.10. So let us see 9.8. The translation is, the whole cosmic order is under me, under my will. Srila Prabhupada is saying now, this will word is not directly in this verse, but it is in other verses. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So here actually, my will, Srila Prabhupada is using 2 times. My will, under my will. I hope you all have the book or the soft copy of Bhagavad Gita in front of you. I'm not showing it on the screen, but I hope you're all following along in the Bhagavad Gita as it is, as I'm reading the verses. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. That my will is the law of karma, because the law of karma is coming from the will of Krishna. That is Krishna's will or Krishna's plan. So when Krishna says, my will, this is referring to law of karma, or you can think of it as Krishna's will or Krishna's plan. Okay, that is referring to the last 2 lines. Bhuta gramam imam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. It is running under the laws of Prakriti, but he will say in the next couple of verses that he is the one who is running the Prakriti. It is running under the laws of nature, but who created those laws and who is enforcing those laws? Krishna is enforcing those laws. So I will explain that. Okay, so that is 9.8. Okay. 9.9. So what is 9.9 going to say? That even though he is running, or this whole thing is going out, coming into him, he is the origin and the dissolution of the whole Prakriti. That is what is being said here. But it is not that he gets attached, like we get attached when we create something. And when we do something, we get entangled in the karma phala. We get bandhan, we get bound by the results of our activities. We have studied this in so many previous chapters. That does not apply to Krishna. So the laws of nature dictate that when we do some activity, we get bound by it, by the fruits. Isn't it? That law of karma or the law of nature does not apply to Krishna. Just like the laws of the land do not apply to the king. The king is the creator of the laws, but the laws do not apply to him. To a certain extent, it is true even in modern day, democracies. Look at America. We had previous President Donald Trump. He was impeached 2 times, which means a large part of the Congress thought that he did something wrong. But he was finally not convicted by the Senate. And the main reason was, it's not that the senators thought that he did not do something wrong. They said that the bar to convict the president is much, much higher than the common man. What they call is as high crimes and treason. So he has to meet the crime, perpetrated crime has to be very high for us to remove the president. Which means that to a certain extent, now it's not a one-on-one mapping, but to a certain extent, the top person who is running the whole thing, the whole show, even in modern understanding of human beings, of human government, that person is above the law to a certain extent. Do you agree? But in a true sense, the king is always above the law. I was recently watching I like to watch history a lot. And I was watching this Watergate scandal. You all know Watergate? Who was the president? Anybody who knows American history?
Nixon.
Nixon, yes, everybody knows Richard Nixon, famous for Watergate scandal. There is an interview, there is a video recording that I saw it. I was pretty amazed. And whenever I see all these things, I try to see how it correlates to Bhagavad Gita and what I can use in the classes. Somebody said, so Mr. Nixon or Mr. President, what is the law? What is the law? He says, what I say is the law. He actually said that. He said, wait a minute. So you mean that if you say something, that is the law? Or he says, I think the question, who defines if it is a crime or not? Yeah, I think that was the thing. He says, if I say it is a crime, it's a crime. If I say, if I have done something, it's not a crime. He literally said that. So this is the sort of the thinking of these, that's the kind of thinking. If I have done something, it cannot be a crime because the president has done it. Because I have done it, it's not a crime. The same thing, if you do, it will be a crime. But because I have done it, it's not a crime. He literally said that, and he said that not as a joke, very seriously. So, anyway, so 9.9. It's a well-accepted fact that the king is above the law. The law creator is not bound by the laws he has created. Na chamam tani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasinavad asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. So I will make a little quicker progress. The translation is, O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. What work is being talked about? Creation and dissolution. That whole work of the cosmic manifestation and destruction cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities. I am detached. The Sanskrit word that is used is asaktam. If you see in Bhagavad Gita or in Sanskrit, with this, another word is used called, oops, what is happening? Asakti. Asakti means attachment. But when the a is removed, is changed to a, like asakti, sakti, it becomes the opposite, detachment. Okay. So asakta, that's the word used here. Asaktam teshu karmasu. That without being attached, I am not attached to these activities. Udasinavad asinam. Asinam means asan. I am sitting. Asinam, like asan, asan, like a sitting place. So asinam, I am sitting. Udasinavad. Udasinavad means neutral. And here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has, so, and then Lord Krishna is saying, Nacha mam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya. All these karmani, all this activity of creation, destruction, na nibadhananti, does not bind me. So two things, it does not bind Krishna, and Krishna is not attached to his creation. Okay. So the example that Srila Prabhupada very nicely gives is that of a judge. A judge is also doing a lot of action, isn't it? He is causing some people to get rewards, some people to get punishment. All this is a lot of action. Some people will get money. You said, okay, you have sued this person for $10 million. Your lawsuit is correct. You get $10 million. The other person who has to pay $10 million is crying because he's punished. Now he has to pay $10 million to the other guy, isn't it? Or he says 2 years jail or lifetime jail to somebody, or whatever may be the case. So a lot of action is happening. The judge is creating law and order in the society by his rulings, but he is not attached. Would you call the judge partial? A true judge, not a modern judge who is corrupt, but a true judge. Is he neutral? Yes, he is acting in a perfectly neutral way. Does the judge become happy when somebody gets the reward? Who gets the reward becomes happy, yes, but the judge becomes happy?
No.
No. Does the judge become sad? No. So he remains completely neutral and completely detached. we become attached to our creation. So we become attached to our creation. In case of others' creation, what other people have created, we become attached to destroying them or destroying it. Isn't it? That is human nature. So there is always attachment to our creation, and there is attachment to destroying other people's creation. Isn't it? That does not exist.
I think that the judge never gives the punishment. He always rewards for the karmas of the person concerned.
Yes,
He
yes.
always rewards.
Okay, fine. But you understand the point we are making. Okay. So here what is being said is Lord Krishna is never entangled as a result of his or out of his actions. Krishna is, so the main point is Krishna is fully spiritual. This attachment, asakti, or Krishna says, I am detached. So Krishna is detached. So this asakti is a property of the jivas. We become attached to our creation. Complete detachment is a property of Krishna. That's why it is said one of the opulences of Krishna, or one of the properties of Bhagavan, is that he's completely detached from everything. There is nothing that he wants or he doesn't want. Of course, he wants our love. That is bhakti. So bhakti is superior, or it is beyond, it is transcendental to anything material, but he is not attached or detached from anything material. That is what is being said here. Krishna is fully spiritual. So we can understand that. Na chamam tani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasina asinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Even though Krishna is creating these material things, this whole material world is material and it is created by Krishna. So Krishna is creating material things, but he's not attached to material things. He's attached to spiritual things like spiritual bhakti of his devotees. That is spiritual. So don't think that Krishna is not attached to our bhakti. That is not the correct understanding, but bhakti is spiritual. Therefore, he's attached. He's very attached to his devotees. Very soon he will say in 9th chapter, I'm very attached to my devotees, because that is not material. Here it is being talked about what is the material creation, prakriti. Prakriti by definition is material. The Sanskrit translation of prakriti is material manifestation. Prakriti is never used for spiritual. Okay. All right. Yet, now this is the most important out of these 4 verses. 9.10 is the most important. So what have we discussed so far? What we have discussed so far is that he is the origin and dissolution of living entities and of Prakriti. The laws, the Prakriti is running according to his laws, but Krishna is above the laws and he is not attached to the material creation. But at the same time, he is still directing it, which means he is the one who has written the laws. He is the director. And the word that is used is adhyaksha. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa chara acharam. So we will see that verse. So that is the sequence in which 9.10 is coming. So very, very nice, beautiful verse. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So the translation is Maya adhyakshena prakritihi. Maya means my, under my. Adhyakshena, under my directorship. And Srila Prabhupada says under my direction. And in the word by word translation, he says under my supervision, or no, superintendence. Prakriti, this Prakriti is working under my directorship. Very clear, right? Maya adhyakshena Prakriti. I am the director. Suyate sa characharam. Chara and achara. This is another word for sarva bhutani, all living entities, which here it means chara and achara, means the moving and non-moving. Living entities are of two types. Moving means all the animals, and non-moving means the plants. So chara, achara, this is another Sanskrit word that is used for all the living entities. Moving and non-moving living entities means all the plants and animals. That covers the whole biology, right? Botany and zoology. Suyate sa characharam. This whole Prakriti is working under my, all the living entities are working under my direction. And because of my direction, not only the living entities, but the Jagat, the material world, is also working. Hetuna anena kaunteya. For this reason, what reason? Because of my directorship. Jagat viparivartate. This whole Jagat, the whole universe. Jagat does not mean just Jagat means earth planet. Jagat means whole universe, is also working for the same reason. Okay. So the main point is the reason. What is the reason by which all the living entities, and the whole Jagat, the whole universe, what is the reason that is making it work? My directorship is making it work. What is it making it work? All the characharam and Jagat. समझ में आ रहा है? Clear? So this universe and all the living entities, Maya adhyakshena. So this adhyakshena is very important. So we have to understand the role of a director. And very literally, now this I read it from one of the devotees' descriptions. Director is like a, let's take like a movie director. And this description was given by one of my favorite devotees, senior devotees, Chaitanya Prabhu. Very nicely he has described Bhagavad Gita, and I have taken this from his description. So he is like a movie director. What does a movie director, in our description, okay, now don't compare it to Hollywood, Bollywood. Don't say, sir, but in Hollywood it happens like this. Okay, just take it like an example to understand Bhagavad Gita. Our purpose is to understand Bhagavad Gita, not Bollywood. Okay, in Bollywood it may happen little differently, and lot of weird things happen in Hollywood and Bollywood. Okay, so we can think of it like a movie director. What does a movie director do? He writes, a good movie director writes a perfect script, correct? He writes the whole perfect script. Okay. And then the, actors, whoever are the actors, are perfectly enacting the script. And what is the movie director doing? He's just sitting in the chair. Directors, have you seen director's chair? Sometimes you have seen director's chair with a, director written on it. Only director can sit on the director's chair. Very important chair, right? So what does he do? He just sits and watches. If his script is very nice and the actors are very competent, then director has no job. He has written the script and he's sitting and watching, isn't it? And they are doing their job, isn't it? So the script here is like the laws of karma. And the actors here are like the demigods, Maya Devi and others, who are enforcing the laws of karma. Okay. You can think of also like the actors, or you can say puppeteers. And then the human beings, the puppeteers are like the demigods, and the human beings are like the puppets. You can think of it like that also. So the puppeteers are running the puppets, but they are running it according to the script written by the director. So what is the director doing? Is he doing anything beyond writing a perfect script? No, he's just sitting. But do you still say that the director is in charge? Who is in charge? Puppeteers are in charge or the director is in charge? Who is ultimately in charge?
Director.
The director.
Director.
Yes. Now let me ask you the hard question. That was easy question. Why do we say ultimately the director is sitting? The puppeteers are the one doing the work. Why do we say that the director is really the one in charge? Why?
I mean, because
What
script
makes
is written by him.
Okay, fine. The script
Yeah.
is written by him. That is point number one. So the question is, why is the director really in charge?
I mean, if the movie is good, then he's going to get the credit of that movie or benefit of the movie.
Okay, fine. But that is the consequence of being in charge. Because he is in charge, he gets the credit. Okay, so that is a consequence. I am asking you the reason why we would consider him to be truly in charge. So one thing is because
He
Cause
makes
of
sure the
because
script goes on.
one sec, let me write down. Because he is the creator of the script. That is one reason. Agreed. Just like God is the creator of the laws. So fine. But there is another reason.
He makes sure the script goes according to him.
Okay, very good. Fine. But let us say that Maya Devi and the demigods are very pakka. They are very...
Because he's...
One second. So they will never deviate from the script. They are very good actors, very solid actors. They will execute the script perfectly.
But he has the responsibility.
Okay. So let me give you the answer. Anybody else wants to say something?
Are made by him. Laws of karma are made by him.
But that's point number one.
Script is laws of karma only.
Yes, yes. In my example, in my analogy, the script is not different from the laws of karma.
Okay.
And the director is Krishna. And agreed that because he is the author of the laws or the script, that's why he is the one really in charge. There is another reason.
He can change the actors anytime he wants.
Exactly. Not only the actors, but even the script. As the actors are enacting the script, he says, you know what? This doesn't look good to me. I want to change it here. The script says that the hero should or the heroine should wear a red color dress. He says, you know what? The red color dress is not good. Change the dress to green. Okay. Now do you see? Now, what was the reason for that change? Just his will.
Sankalp.
Just his will. Sankalpa, yes. Just his will. He says, no, I don't like red color. I want green color. Now, all the actors have to stop and they have to go find a green dress, and then the play continues, isn't it? So the second reason is he can, or he has the power or the ability to intervene at any time per his will and change the script. Okay? The actors cannot say, no, you wrote in the script before, now you cannot change it. No, actors cannot say that. He will say, I am the director. Don't tell me what I can change, I cannot change. I can change you if I want. I can bring in a new actor. So, you have to obey me. That is how it goes. All right. So the other part is that he has, so this means why I am so particular about this difference. The reason I am being particular is the following. This one is this activity of creating the script is called that a inactive God. Inactive God. Okay, God has created the laws, but then he has no role. No, he has a role. This is called active God. These are philosophical terms. If you go into a class on theism in Oxford University or Harvard University, or these are actual terms, inactive and active God. Now, they don't have any concept of God. They are all going by speculation, but these are the terms that are used. One can ask, who created this universe? Why, for example, why are the laws like they are? Why is big G? Big G is the gravitational constant. What is it? 6.67 times 10 to the power minus 11. What is it? Kg, meter, something. I forget what are the units of that, but whatever. Why is it this value? Why is it not 500? Why is big G not 500? Why is it 6.67 times 10 to the minus 11? Well, the scientists have no answer. They will say, oh, because, okay, fine. That we can give it to God. Your God created it. Fine. But once he has put that value, he has no role. Bhagavad Gita is saying, I am the Adhyaksha, and Adhyaksha means I am the director, which means God has an active role. He is an active God. Yes, he has created the script, and majority of the time, 99% of the time, the world is working according to the script, and it looks like there is no God. It looks like God is absent. That's because everything is working nicely according to the laws. But if he wants, he can interfere, just like in the case of Prahlad. And God interferes mainly when his devotees are involved. What happened to Prahlad? He was thrown from a cliff. Why did I take the example of big G? Gravitational constant. He was thrown from a very, very tall cliff. Did he die? Did the law of gravity work on Prahlad? No, because Krishna intervened. And he made sure that Prahlad is completely, totally not hurt, which means he intervened at the right time. Whenever he wants, he can intervene. Okay. What is the property of fire? To burn. But when Prahlad was put into the fire, did he burn? He was not burnt. That means the law of karma, or the law of nature, not the law of karma, but more than that, even the law of nature, the law of fire is to burn. Did the fire burn Prahlad? Did the gravity hurt Prahlad? No, because God is not just an inactive God. If he only wrote the laws and left it, Prahlad would have died because he was thrown from a cliff. So God, yes, he wrote the laws. For normal people, for those who are not devotees, the laws apply. But he is also very much active, which means he can change the script whenever he wants. And that is the role of a director. And that is exactly what Krishna is saying. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam. So this is the understanding that we take away from this verse. Are you following?
And he is
impartial. In one word, director, he has put so much meaning, and devotees have given out so much meaning, so much beautiful understanding. The devotees have given us how to understand the word director.
And he is impartial to Devta or Asur, because Prahlad was from Asur.
Yeah, but Prahlad was a devotee, so he was very partial.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
regardless
for,
of
for
origin.
others, he is impartial.
Hmm.
But for devotees, he is very partial.
Very partial from wherever they come from. Yeah.
Yes, from wherever they come, devotee does not mean your birth. Devotee means your guna,
Right.
your bhakti. So that is the understanding of Maya adhyakshena prakriti. So this whole discussion was on the word adhyakshena, what it means and the nature of God. So we will go back to our summary where we had written. This is the summary of how to understand Krishna. Krishna is inconceivable. We started from that, isn't it? But we said, okay, but that is too much to understand. Krishna is saying, I will tell you how much you can understand. So he has told us these points. And I hope you all can understand from this. Who is Krishna? How he creates, destroys, how the universe works under his direction. This is palatable. This is somewhat understandable, isn't it? So this is who is Krishna. But, so we will go forward. But there are some people, so even though Krishna is saying, so now we will go into 9.11 and 9.12. Now Krishna is saying, this is who I am. Whatever we discussed in 9.7 to 9.10, right? He's saying this. But there are some people who reject this understanding. They don't want to accept this understanding. They just don't want to accept. They are like bad actors. Kindly mute. Okay, I have muted. So they don't want to accept this. They are the bad actors. They are like those who don't want to go according to the laws, the good laws. They want the consequences. The laws also have consequences, but the script says if the actor doesn't follow all these rules, the director will fire the actors, right? So that is also part of the script. So there are people, there are the bad actors, so to say, literally bad actors. And who are those? They are the asuras. Now, asuras, where were we discussing? Yeah, we were discussing this in Bhakti Shastri class. So anyway, Asura doesn't mean the sort of the comic book, picture of Asura with two horns, with, ugly black color. That's not the meaning of Asura. When we reach 16th chapter, the 16th chapter is about Asura Bhava, so that we can identify who is Asura. Bhagavad Gita talks a lot about devotees. Who is a devotee? Very truthful, very clean, very calm, composed, tolerant. All these good qualities are described so many times. But just to describe what a devotee is not, in the 16th chapter, Lord Krishna gives a deep description, a Asura definition, or not only definition, but detailed description. So we were going over that in our different class, Bhakti Shastri class. But anyway, here Lord Krishna is saying there are such people who are called asuras. And it doesn't mean that they have two horns, they are ugly, fat, not like that. It's the mentality. It's the Asura Bhava, not Asura Rupa. Rupa has nothing to do. Your external has nothing to do. It is the internal mentality of Asura. And what is that internal mentality? A brief description is given. Asura mentality. So 9.11 gives the Asura mentality. Very briefly in one verse. And 9.12 gives the consequence. Okay. So what does 9.11 say? Very, very famous verse. Avajananti mam mudha. अरे मैंने बता दिया है सब कुछ. I have told everything about myself in the last so many verses and so many chapters also. But avajananti, they don't know yet. They cannot understand. Either they don't know, or they cannot understand, or even after being told, they refuse to understand. Avajananti. Janana means to know. Avajananti means to not know. It's not about knowing, it's about rejecting. Here, it's not Krishna is not talking about ignorance. That is not the point. Because this verse is occurring after 9.7 to 9.10, where Krishna is telling who he is. The placement of the verse is also important, that even after me telling this, people don't accept it. It is not ignorance, it is rejection. That is why it is coming after 9.7 to 9.10. Are you following this point? Therefore, the mood of this verse is rejection. Avajananti mam. Who are such people? What does Krishna calling them? What name he is giving? Mudha. Mudha means idiot. Idiot or a fool. Crazy. Whatever may be the English translation. Manushim tanum ashritam. What do they believe? They don't believe that I am above the laws of material nature. That's what he said in 9.9. I am above the material nature, isn't it? Which means I am not a jiva. I am not a manushya. They believe the opposite. Manushim tanum ashritam. That I have taken the ashraya, the shelter of a manushya roop, of a manushya body, which means I am human. Remember 2-3 classes back, I was showing one PowerPoint of some Amazon.com comments. One of the persons says, Krishna was a great man. Remember that? Man. He was trying to, basically say Krishna is a great person, but he was demoting Krishna to the level of a man. As if like, okay, I can also become great and then I will become Krishna. I'm also a man. Krishna is also a man. He's just a little bit rich or a little bit more knowledgeable, like Elon Musk. I have $10,000. Elon Musk has 100 billion. If I also work hard, if I have the right ideas, I can also become like Elon Musk, right? Or Bill Gates. That is the mood. You're trying to create that okay, you're a little bit better, but you're in the same category as me. We are both in the same category. I am almost as good as you. That is the sentiment. And you can do that to God by pulling him down to your level. So what do they believe in? That he is not fully spiritual, not inconceivable, not the source of the whole universe. None of those things. He is a manushya, just like you and me. So that is the meaning of manushim tanum ashritam. Then what does Krishna says? Param bhavam ajananto. They do not know my supreme nature. Param bhava. Param bhavam ajananto. Same line, same word. Ajananti, avajananti, ajananto. They have no idea, or they reject. Even if I tell them, they will reject. Like Krishna went to Duryodhan. He said, I am the Supreme Lord. Don't take panga with my devotees, Pandavas. What did Duryodhan say? Oh, you are making it up. You are a great Mayavi. You do all these Mayavi tricks, these mystic tricks. I also have people who can do mystic tricks. Why should I trust what you are saying? Get out. He even wanted to kill Krishna. You're never supposed to kill a messenger. Krishna went as a messenger of peace. Duryodhan tried to capture Krishna. He told his guards, capture this fellow. And then he showed his partial form. And still he did not understand. The whole Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying all this, was being told to Dhritarashtra, isn't it, before the war? Dhritarashtra heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? From Sanjay. That's how Bhagavad Gita starts. Dhritarashtra uvacha. And then Sanjay is describing the horns and the conch shells are being blown. The battle is about to start, isn't it? And Dhritarashtra heard it, isn't it? Did Dhritarashtra hear this verse? What do you think? Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Did Dhritarashtra hear that verse? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he love his children? Duryodhan and all the others?
Yes.
So what
Yes.
could he have done? What he could have done right at that point?
He could have stopped the war.
He could have stopped the war. Oh my God, this is God. My children will never win. They will get
And that,
killed.
that's why
I guess he was not in control to stop the war.
No, he didn't even try.
as he was the king, he was very much able to stop the war.
He was able to stop, yes. But the point is, Mataji or somebody may say that he might have told Duryodhan, but Duryodhan rejected. There is no
Yeah.
proof of that. He didn't even tell. He said, let the war continue. Because he had no belief, no trust. That is the kind of thing that is being described. Oh, he's just, saying some nonsense. What we call in corporate as BS. Oh, Krishna is saying some BS. I'm not going to expand that word, but it's some nonsense, right? I don't believe it.
As
That
per
is the
his-
bhav.
he supposed that Krishna is provoking Arjun unnecessarily.
Whatever, yes, agreed. All those thoughts, maybe it is that, maybe it is that, maybe it is that. But the one thing that is definitely not the case, which is Krishna is God. That is never possible. Everything else may be the possibility. That is asurim bhavam. So that is why Dhritarashtra was not looking like an asura. He did not have the horns. He did not have all those, features of asura, rakshas. But his mentality was definitely asuric. Because he considered Krishna to be human. Manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Maha Ishwar. Maheshwara means Maha Ishwar, the Supreme Lord. Right here, Krishna is saying, I am the Maha Ishwar. Somebody asks where Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord. Right here, he says, 9.11, Maheshwaram. Now, 5.29 also Krishna says. What is 5.29? How it starts? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the Maha Ishwar of all the lokas. Suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. So he says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. Same thing he's saying. Param bhavam ajananto. What is that param bhava? That I am mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all the living entities, which he just said in the previous verse. Isn't it? Isn't that what he said? This is a summary. Mama bhuta maheshwaram is just a summary of the previous verses. But he says they reject that. And such people are mulha, he says. So the translation is, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. I look like a human, yes, because I have two hands. Narayan at least has 4 hands, but I have 2 hands. So I look like a human, but they think I am human. I am as fallible as a human. I am as weak as a human. They do not know my transcendental nature, param bhavam ajananto, as the supreme Lord of all that be, mama bhuta maheshwaram. So they don't know that. Are you following? Then he gives the consequence, 9.12. Very bad consequence, very, very bad consequence. Extremely. This is almost as close as Krishna gets in Bhagavad Gita to saying very bad words, what we call in corporate language, French words, F words. Very bad, like they are completely rascals, idiots. So what happens to these people? Mogha asha, 3 things. They are mogha. So this word mogha will come here. Mogha means completely destroyed, or you can say completely like no hope at all. What you can say as a complete gone case. We say that, right? He's a complete gone case. Iska to kuch bhi nahi ho sakta. Absolutely no remedy. So this word mogha. So what is mogha? Their asha. Asha means all their hopes and desires. We can say all their plans. Hopes and desires, we can think of it like all our plans. All their plans are completely destroyed. Mogha asha. Mogha karmano. Their karma. All their activities. Mogha jnana. Whatever their jnana, their knowledge. Since it is so misplaced, their knowledge, it's completely hopeless. Vichetasaha. So these people are doing whatever their plans are, their activities are, their knowledge. Everything is completely destroyed. It will not produce any fruitful results. It will only produce sinful results, which will make them go lower and lower and lower. And he calls these people the same word which I just said, Asura bhava, rakshasa, rakshasim, asurim chaiva. Both words he used, they both mean almost the same thing. Rakshasa and asura. They are like rakshasas, and this is the definition of rakshas and asura. Rakshasim, asurim chaiva. Prakritim mohinim ashritaha. So they are not taking shelter of Krishna. They think this material, everything that is material is superior. So I should take shelter of material nature, which means give me more money, give me more power, give me this, give me that. All their shelter is material. They take shelter of Prakriti, not of Bhagavan. Bhagavan, they consider to be part of Prakriti. Bhagavan is under Prakriti. Are you following what is written here? So the translation given by Srila Prabhupada is, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. Rakshasim, Asurim. So these people who think that I am a human, I am not God, or there is no God, they are like demons and atheistics. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Complete gone case. Are you following? So this is what is happening to such people. Those who consider that Krishna is a human. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. They don't think that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but he is a Manushya. Okay?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Krishna was meaning Moda as Sishupala and Duryodhana.
Yes, yes.
He was meaning.
Yeah. Mudha means fool, or, yeah, if you're harming yourself, you're a fool. Isn't it? Okay. So it is 8:25. We will stop here because now comes 9.13 and 9.14. Arguably, till now, so far, in all of Bhagavad Gita, so far, these two are the most important verses so far. Very, very important. Extremely, extremely important verses. Very beautiful verses. if you are interested in really, if you are in love with Krishna, if you are in love with Bhagavad Gita, then memorize these two verses. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritah bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam, and then satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavritah namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So we will go deep into these two verses next time. There is not enough time to do justice to these two verses. So please meditate on these two verses, read it. They are extremely, extremely important verses, and we will cover them next time. So let us see what questions we have. We still have the question of the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. I will explain that quickly. Or Brahma, Vishnu, and I will just write it as Shiva. And then what other questions are there? 9.11 and 9.12. Do they say that anyone not a follower of the Lord is a rakshas? No. This is not like a, if you don't follow Krishna, then you are a rakshas. No. This is not what it is saying. You may not follow Krishna, that's fine. But if you are actively saying Krishna is just a human being, or even some people say lower than a human being. If you are agnostic, okay, I don't have anything to do with God. I will do my work. For me, work is work is worship. That's a very famous saying, right? Work is worship, which means they had nothing to do with God. Okay, fine. You believe in God. You can go to the temple. You can do whatever you want. I am happy where I am. They are not offensive towards Krishna. 9.11, what it is telling is offensive to Krishna. Okay? And that is the rakshasa or asura bhav. Okay? So that is the thing. It's not, Krishna is not saying you must believe in me. No. He's saying I have created law of karma. I am neutral. If you don't believe in me, no problem. You can live your life happily, try to be in mode of goodness, then you can go up and you will be happy. You can be in the cycle of dharma, artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama. We have discussed that, right? That is the law of karma. Dharma, artha, kama is the law of karma. So you can be happy. Even you can go to Swargaloka by that. So you can get a lot of happiness, a lot of pleasure. You don't have to become a bhakta, but definitely don't become what is known as a anti-bhakta, which means a asura. You don't have to love me, but don't actively offend me. Is it clear, Mataji? The answer, the difference?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Now the name Vishnu is the one that is confusing. According to our Shastra, let me bring this down. There is the spiritual world. So this is, this is the material world. And there is the spiritual world. So there is Krishna in the spiritual world. He's a completely spiritual entity. Also, Narayana. We can also say Narayana or Vishnu, but the name Vishnu is actually used of, so all these three are known as Guna Avatar of Lord Narayana. They are the Guna Avatar. Brahma is the Rajaguna, Rajoguna, Sattvaguna, and Tamoguna. So the Lord takes his avatar, his incarnation into the material world as these three. Okay? And then he gives, these are the deities principally in charge of creation maintenance, and destruction. But they are none other than avatars of Lord Narayana. Okay. So Brahmaji is also considered a guna avatar. Even though, so it's a very complex topic, Brahmaji is a jiva tattva, but yet he is a avatar of Lord Vishnu. So all the avatars of Lord Krishna need not be fully, they are ansha avatars. They are partial avatars. They are partial incarnations. So they are not like, for example, when Krishna comes as Krishna in Vrindavan, for example, this Krishna comes as a completely spiritual entity. The one who spoke Bhagavad Gita is this Krishna. He is completely spiritual. But he can have other amsha avatars, partial incarnations. And these guna avatars are partial incarnations, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha or Shiva, who have certain responsibility. Brahma's responsibility is to give structure to the universe. He doesn't create the universe. The universe has been created by Krishna. The universe, right here in the Bhagavad Gita, it is written that the universe is created by me. We have studied that the universes come out of the body of Mahavishnu. Those avatars are known as the Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu or Karanodakshayi Vishnu, then Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. So from Karanodakshayi Vishnu's body, the universes are coming out. That means who is the creator of the universes? Karanodakshayi Vishnu or Purusha avatar. Then to give structure within the universe, to create all these different lokas, Bhuloka, Maharloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, and Satloka. And then the 7 planetary systems below, giving this structure and all that is done by Brahmaji. The raw ingredients have been provided. Okay. If I ask you, Chandan Prabhu, can you unmute?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Did you have lunch today?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Who made the lunch?
My wife.
Aha. Can you tell me what she made?
Rice, dal, and vegetables.
Okay, so let's say she made rice. How did she make the rice?
Pressure cooker using water and fire.
And rice also, I suppose?
And rice, yeah.
Okay, so did she make the rice?
No, Prabhuji.
Who made the rice?
Got it from a store. A farmer grew the rice.
Okay, so what did the farmer do?
Planted seeds. And
what seeds?
Paddy seeds.
Rice seeds, right?
Yeah.
Who made that seed?
Krishna.
Okay, so ultimately, if I keep asking you, the final answer will be Krishna. So
yes,
what did your wife do? What did the farmer do?
What Krishna wanted them to do.
Yeah, but they basically took the raw ingredients and they gave more structure to it. Correct? What did the farmer do? He gave sunlight, he gave soil, he gave water, all those things, right? If he did not give water at the proper time, the rice would not have grown. Correct? If your wife did not put it in the pressure cooker, the rice would not have boiled. So these people gave structure, correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That is the role of Brahmaji. So I hope you all can understand. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the conversation. So Brahmaji is just like a cook who cooks the raw ingredients and gives a nice structure to it. But the raw ingredients, the whole infrastructure is provided by Krishna. So Brahmaji is the creator in that sense. So like I first asked him, who made the rice? His first answer was my wife. So that is the common understanding. Who created the universe? Brahmaji. But if you think deeper, like I asked him one question after another, finally, after a little bit of contemplation and thinking, the answer was Krishna. So similarly, the first answer is what Brahmaji created. But if you think deeper and if you look at it from the eyes of Shastra, what Krishna is saying, ultimately, Krishna is the creator, not Brahma. Okay? So I hope this conversation was helpful to understand that answer. All right, we will stop here. Is that okay? Next time, please don't miss. We have very, very important discussion. 9.13, 9.14. Two very important verses of Bhagavad Gita. We will discuss them with some depth, and hopefully we will make progress on the 15th verse also, which is a very important verse as well, which will give a structure or give a understanding of the next several chapters. 9.15 is a very important verse. It is like a marker to next many chapters. So you must understand 9.15 to see how the structure of Bhagavad Gita will evolve over the next 4 chapters. Okay, so we will cover all these topics in the next class. So
Prabhuji, do you have a couple of minutes to spare? I wanted to ask you something.
yeah, why don't you ask right now? Or
So
privately or right now in Zoom?
no, I mean, I'm okay to ask right now.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
Prabhuji, yeah, I want to just share an experience, and I wanted to understand how you understand it, and what are the next steps that I have to do. It's a very silly thing that today I just felt like eating Einstein bagel, so I went to the bagel store to buy the bagel. On the way, I was like, why did I give into this temptation of eating a bagel? Like, why couldn't I just make something at home and eat it? Why was there so much temptation that even though I had an office meeting at 10:30, I took the risk of like driving all the way from Hillsborough to Einstein Bagel to go get it. I felt like I was giving into the material temptation. And my husband is not too much into all the spirituality. So when I explained it to him, he actually just laughed and said that you are a human being and you'll always be a human being. And I literally had Bhagavad Gita in my hand at that time because I read one shloka every day. And I told him the God on the picture, on the front page of the book is going to take me out of it. So I mean, nothing against my husband, nothing against anything. I wanted to understand that because I've been so related to this whole community for last 1 year, is that why this materialist thing has like popped up in my head? Because I'm sure that a year back, if I would have like tried to go to a Einstein Bagel, I wouldn't have this thought. I mean, it's such a pity thought, right?
Yes, so that's nice. I mean, you are beginning to think in terms of you are separating yourself, the one who is thinking about this, from your thoughts or from your desires. You are beginning to be able to distinguish. You're going into a higher level of consciousness where you are saying, aha, this is my desire. I have this attachment or this past conditioning or past recollection that when I eat that Einstein bagel, I feel very happy. It's very delicious. And you want to repeat that pleasure. So you have this desire and all that. You are able to analyze this whole thought process, which is a very, very good step forward. And hopefully it is a outcome of your participation in understanding or your effort in understanding Bhagavad Gita, which is giving you this sort of ability to draw this contrast. And that's a very good thing. That's a very good thing. I mean, this is what happens when you engage in these deeper discussions. It leads to an elevation of your consciousness. So I think that that's what is happening. Is that what you were trying to discuss or something?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, I mean, I cannot call my husband a Muda, right? Like, because he's
That's
not.
a different thing.
Yeah. So
Now,
like being in a like a gresti, right, where I have a son, I have my husband and everybody, where you don't have that same level of thought process, right? That is not matching. How do you like elevate yourself by being connected? And I've thought about it, and I thought, okay, maybe it's because I have to do my duties. Like I have to look at my son when I'm feeding him as Krishna. When I'm looking at my husband, I have to feel like I it's not that I owe him, but it's like if it's a seva bhav that has to come from within.
absolutely, it's your duty, and the seva comes from duty. So you have taken on a duty of a wife, and a mother, and you can't just give up and walk out of the house and say, okay, bye-bye. Too bad that I married you or I gave birth to you, and now I am no longer your wife, no longer your mother. Absolutely, that's not the case. And even Krishna doesn't advocate for that. He says, whatever you are doing, do that as your duty, but focus on me, remember me. And what our acharyas have said is that we should try with smaller steps. Every day, try to remember Krishna for some time, and remaining time, lead your normal life as you are leading. Slowly and slowly, your consciousness will begin to elevate. More and more, Krishna will occupy your mind. But it still doesn't mean that you have to give up your family life. So many great devotees are grihasthas. They perfectly take care of their family life, and yet their minds are full of bhakti towards Krishna. So there are several things that you are bringing up in your question, and I want to address the other point that you brought up, that because when you said, oh, this is because Krishna is doing this, and he said, oh, he's just brushed it off, and you said, is he a mudha? And I want to make sure I address that point also. What this verse is saying, where a person, now there are various levels. Now it's not like black and white either. This verse is especially talking about those who are actively offending Krishna, even without provocation in many cases. And even when they are not provoked, it is a part of their active agenda to offend Krishna or Krishna's devotees. Now, your husband, as far as I can understand, he's letting you make progress in Krishna consciousness. That
Definitely is.
Definitely he is supporting it. It's not like he's telling you, tomorrow, if you attend Bhagavad Gita class, I'm going to give you a divorce. That would be an active act of trying to prevent some soul's connection with Krishna. That would be more serious. But he is letting you do it. He is not at that level. That's fine. It would be great if he is too, but let's leave him aside for the moment. But he is supporting your Krishna consciousness. You should feel very happy about that, that yes, that is his expression of his own Krishna consciousness. He is letting you do that. He is totally fine with the amount of time you're spending in this class is the time you are away from him. I'm sure he would like to have these 2 hours with you.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
he's doing that much sacrifice, and you should appreciate that. And definitely he would not be called in the category of 9.11, a mudha. And slowly, and by your example and by your prayers, by your Krishna conscious example in your own house, and by your prayers for him, he will one day also definitely become Krishna conscious. He will become a very good devotee of Krishna. May not be in this life, maybe in the next life. We don't know.
Yeah.
It could be as far as that, or it could be in next 6 months. Who knows? Krishna has different ways of playing his magic. And, but all that you can do is to make very determined, very serious and sincere progress in your own Krishna consciousness. And it does not mean that it has to come at the cost of your family.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
But it kind of, it breaks my heart, not with this, but it breaks my heart to think that, like, even in this just in this 1 year, like the kind of progress I've made, that like even eating a bagel makes me feel that I've given into the materialistic pleasure and everything, right? It does bring tears to my eyes thinking about it. Like, why? And I don't know if this has to be that serious or...
No, it doesn't. I'm telling you, it does not. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Okay? The answer is, please listen very carefully. I have a very good answer for you. Okay? Please listen to that. Your Bhagavad Gita and everything that we have been talking is not about severe austerity, going to the jungle and sustaining yourself on 2 drops of water, what yogis and some people like that you might have read in comic books or some stories like that. That is absolutely not the direction of Bhagavad Gita and Lord Krishna. Okay? So don't go in that direction of, oh, why did I get this desire, this and that and that. Start small. For example, on Ekadashi day, we have Ekadashi day. It's considered very, very,
She has started doing it.
very.
I started doing that.
Yeah. So it's not just about what you eat and don't eat. That's a part of it. But on Ekadashi day, do very sincere Krishna Shravana and Kirtan. And also you can say that, okay, on Ekadashi day, I will eat only Krishna Prasad. I will not eat anything that is from outside. Then slowly, don't be too harsh on yourself. On another day, if you feel like it, you can do that. Now, if the bagel is egg free, for example, if it's not made out of eggs, if it's a vegan bagel, now I know a nice shop in Portland. What's it called? Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Or there could be a pure vegetarian store or vegan store. There are other, what's a vegan? Beaverton? Whatever. There are some vegan stores. You can, at one level, you can buy a bagel from there. In your mind, you can offer it to Krishna, saying, Krishna, you have this bagel first. Wait for 2 minutes and then eat the bagel or the donut or whatever it is. Like that, try to elevate your consciousness slowly and slowly. And of course, the highest level is where you cook everything yourself from the raw ingredients, offer it to a deity of Krishna, and then you eat it. That's the highest level. And even higher is, offer it with a tulsi leaf. So we will get there. Don't worry. Don't be in a rush. The point is, start small. The fact that this thought itself is coming to your mind is itself very nice, but the purpose is not austerity. So don't focus on, oh, I have to be harsh on myself. No, that is not going to work in Kali Yuga. That may work in Satyuga, when the process was that of austerity. The process of austerity is not recommended in Kali Yuga at all. It is this bhakti process is susukham. It's very joyful and it's very straightforward and easy, relatively easy. So don't be excessively hard on yourself is what I would say. Another thing I would say is that for these very customized questions, should I do this, or this thought came to my mind, what should I do? You must connect with somebody who has been in this discussion or in this for a long time. Establish a relationship of getting some guidance from time to time, and get these sort of very customized questions. This is the thought that came to me. This happened to me. My husband said this, or this, my child, this thing happened. What should I do? We can ask in the class. Everybody will benefit. Plus, you can have some sort of guidance that you can get from somebody who can help you, whom you trust, whom you respect, and get such guidance and slowly and, make gradual progress.
Yeah, Prabhuji, that's why I've started coming to the temple, because I want to get into that community where I am open to those people who are elevated. I was talking to one of the Mataji in the temple, and I told her that I am in kindergarten and you guys are like in high school and like college maybe.
No,
So,
maybe we are in elementary school or middle school, maybe.
yeah. So I mean, that's how I see it, and that's why I want to get that. Like, in Montessori, you have the older kids are supposed to take care of the younger kids. So I'm trying to get into that mentality where I go in regularly and
by associating with devotees, one can make very, very nice and rapid progress. So association of devotees, all the acharyas, even Lord Krishna mentions bodhayantah parasparam. Mad chittah madgatah prana bodhayantah parasparam. The word paraspar means with each other. Kathayantascha mam nityam. In the association of devotees, they do katha of me and tushyanticha ramanticha. So please, yes, very nice.
Your husband gave a very good reply that you are a human being.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I want. Like, I know I'm a human, but I want to make that spiritual progress, because this is the only time we get when we make that spiritual progress. As animal, birds, plants, we cannot make that progress, right? So I want him to be elevated. I want to elevate each other. And eventually there would be, as you said, Prabhuji, eventually there will be a progress. Maybe in this life, maybe not in this life. And that's all part of the karmas that we bring in.
And one request, like prompted from what you said, those who are living in Portland, please come to the temple. In person, face-to-face association with others is very, very potent. It's very powerful. It's very transformative. And if you are living in any other place, this is a wonderful society that Srila Prabhupada has created. And it's, the temples, ISKCON temples. And why I'm mentioning ISKCON, it's not like only ISKCON has a monopoly on Krishna or Bhagavad Gita, but today, generally, all the temples have become just like, okay, you put your donation, they will give you some prasad and you go. The temples are supposed to be institutions of learning and teaching. That aspect of the temple, which is the most important thing, has now kind of died down or has become very, very sidelined, almost to the point of non-existent. It's completely non-existent. In the ISKCON temples, because of Srila Prabhupada's focus, the focus is on lifestyle change, on actually making spiritual progress, not just, put 2 rupees in the thing, get some arati, get some, charnamrit, and then go home. That is nice. But getting the spiritual education, getting guidance on making our lives Krishna conscious happens very nicely in ISKCON temples. So please find the temple near you, wherever you are, whichever city you are in, and associate, talk to people, associate with seniors whom you can trust, whom you respect, who have gone down this path, and learn and get benefit from that, take advantage of that.
Prabhuji, on behalf of all our Zoom friends, I assure you that with the Bhagavad Gita class, there is a lot of change in us, in our attitude, behavior, and other things. We are benefited.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much. But in-person association adds a whole new dimension, a whole new level as well. So this is very nice. Try to add that as well. What is it?
So even if the temple is not close by, there might be some bhakti viksha group.
Yeah, temple doesn't mean, temple doesn't mean like a structure. It could be just a group of devotees who are meeting in somebody's house. That also happens in many, many cities where there is no temple. So you can find out like that. The most important part is devotee association, whether it is in the satsang, yes. And those who are following Srila Prabhupada's teachings, there are so many different interpretations of Bhagavad Gita and this and that. You don't want to risk going into some place which will give you a whole different, completely opposite understanding. So therefore, to be safe, to have the consistency of understanding, try to find a group of devotees who are following Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and take in-person association as that will be very beneficial.
In fact, going to homes also helps, because you can see how other people are living their lives, and you can try to replicate that or learn whatever, inspire each other from. So temple is one kind of atmosphere, but also a home where you also have a home, and you can see how devotees are.
All that is part of the all that is part of the learnings that you get from association.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you for
asking.
Thank
you, Mataji.
It was, I'm sure, very beneficial for a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, we will stop here then. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.